How's it, crypto fans? Back with another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Bitcoin halving, or the halvening if you're a dork like me. Ain't nothing wrong with that. The halvening is an event that is just like the Olympics, in that happens every 4 years, and that's it. That's the only thing they have in common. Yeah, we'll discuss it. Stay tuned! Hey, welcome back, you guys. Now, the halving or halvening, we're gonna call it whatever today, is something that Bitcoin aficionados really like to talk about. And the reason we like to talk about the halving is because it usually comes with a price increase. Everybody that is in Bitcoin right now got in it to get rich. Yeah.
Oh, can I sign with y'all? That would be cool. Sure you can, big boy. Just meet us in the storage room. Took it in the bottom, now I'm signed. Took it in the bottom from my new team, now I'm signed. Now you can sip zero till you're blind. By the way, did you know I'm the best skater alive? Young Moolah, baby! 2G!
But we all stayed for different reasons. Regardless of whether you believe Bitcoin will go to millions or not, people do believe that the Bitcoin halving event has something to do with the price going up. There is a lot of speculation around this subject. But let's explain what it really is, and then you make your own determination of what you think in relation to the price. So what is a halving? So before we talk about the halving, we need to understand a few things about Bitcoin mining.
Who's winning the match? Stay. I think I'm getting the black lung, Bob.
For Christ's sake, Derek, you've been down there one day.
One block contains different transactions, and those transactions have to be validated. So each block has to be validated. Miners who validate blocks using computers and electricity are rewarded in Bitcoin. 2009, first time Bitcoin comes to life. The first block wasn't completely mined by a consensus algorithm like all other transactions. That very first initial block was mined by Satoshi Nakamoto, and he rigged it because he had to. You don't have consensus at the very beginning of the thing, right? So he jerry-rigged it. He created the first block, which is now known as the Genesis block.
Who are you?
I am your father.
Well, where am I?
I have to leave you, son. For your safety.
Well, wait.
I will always be with you.
What am I doing here? What am I?
Henceforth, up until today, a certain number of blocks have been mined. And in the public ledger, where all the Bitcoin transactions are stored and are verifiable by anybody, that ledger contains all those blocks, all the way to the Genesis block, to the beginning. So, Genesis block is the first block. And after that, for every block that a miner
I hardly know her.
validated using computers and electricity, he would get a reward. And this reward was 50 Bitcoin. So, 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2012, if you mine Bitcoin and found a block, you get rewarded 50 Bitcoin. But in November of 2012, this amount of 50 Bitcoin as the reward was cut in half to 25 Bitcoin. So prior to November of 2012, 50 Bitcoin. After 2012, 25 Bitcoin. So now the reward isn't as good, right? So what happens? What happens when the reward that a miner gets is not as good as it used to be? They just have to deal with it. Honestly, there's nothing inherent in Bitcoin that promises that the price will increase or that the miner should still be incentivized to mine Bitcoin. You receive 50 Bitcoin in reward, and now you receive 25 for the same amount of work, if not more. What the hell is this? This is a ripoff.
To accept, press 1. Thank you for calling eBay customer service. This is Wendy.
Thank you for calling eBay customer service. For English, press 1. To confirm your purchase of 9 cards at $200, press 55. To confirm, please press 2. Please collect your payment at the nearest Budweiser factory.
But it's not. It's not a ripoff. What it is a very complicated algorithm that secures the value of Bitcoin and ensures that there's not too much inflation. It's a little more complicated in terms of economics. But the way the algorithm was written for Bitcoin was that every 210,000 blocks, the miner's reward would be cut in half, from 50 to 25 to 12 and a half to 6 and a quarter to 3 and whatever, all the way until every single block is mined. In 2012, we get the first halving. What about the second halving? Well, that did happen in 2016.
Actually, it's when a man explains something to a woman in a condescending way. But you were close.
Remember when I told everyone to stop talking about your damn emails? What a schmuck!
Before July of 2016, if you mined Bitcoin, you would get 25 Bitcoin in reward. And after July 2016, you would get now 12 and a half Bitcoin. May of 2020, we got the coronavirus, check. And we also got Bitcoin halving. Now, why do we think that the halving has anything to do with the price going up? Well, if you look at the chart of Bitcoin's price, you look at the time of the halvening, and about 8 months after, there is a very strong uprise. 2016, we had the second halving, and it brought the price to 20,000 per Bitcoin. Now, are we sure the halvening did that? No. Okay, no. But it does make sense that the halving in itself would bring the price up. Because miners need to be incentivized to mine Bitcoin. And no one is really taking care that that's the case, right? Like, the miners cannot go to somebody and say, hey, you know, I don't like this halving thing, okay? I want to go back to 50 Bitcoin. Can I go back? Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. Like, there's no one to complain to. So miners just have to take it. Just have to adapt.
Find a happy place. Find a happy place.
And the key adaptation is the price going up. Think about it. A market is influenced by many factors. And one of these factors is security. Okay? Miners have to do their job in order to secure Bitcoin. And in order for Bitcoin to function, it needs miners. And miners need to make money to mine Bitcoin. So the market adjusts and brings the price up, which keeps incentivizing miners. Now remember, the miners are rewarded Bitcoin. So they in fact have the new Bitcoin, okay? And this is somehow related to the price going up. Because if they're only getting very little Bitcoin, as is the case now they're getting less Bitcoin for their transactions, right? Not only do they have to deal with coronavirus shit.
Because of coronavirus, you are going to be quarantined, but you have a choice. Do you A, quarantine with your wife and child, or B?
B.
They also get half of the reward. And you might think, hey, well, how does that work for the miner, right? What is the incentive? Well, they believe that the price is going up, right? They believe in the system, the miners do. And also, a big thing is that they were aware that this was going to happen, okay? In the core implementation of Bitcoin, in the Bitcoin core protocol, the halvings are specified and they are going to take place no matter what. Okay? If you ever hear somebody say that the next halving is going to be prevented or some shit like that, don't believe that shit. Okay? The halving cannot be modified or changed in any way. It's going to happen. And the miners know this. They know it. They know that if they start mining Bitcoin today, the reward is going to be 6.25 Bitcoin. Okay, 6.25. That's it. There's nothing they can do. And they have to decide if it's profitable or not. If it's not profitable for a miner to use electricity and computers to mine a block that pays 6 Bitcoin and a quarter, then they won't. They just simply won't. But there's another miner that's gonna come in and say, I can do that. Shit, I can use those 6.25 Bitcoin, I don't care.
This one says chair model.
I wrote that. Michael, you shouldn't have to settle. This is my pledge to you. I will find her, and I will bring her to you. And as God is my witness, she shall bear your fruit.
That sounds good. Go get her. Wait. First, go to Wendy's, get my food, come back, and then go.
And so you'll never run out of miners. But the price needs to adjust for these miners to be profitable. The halving is not meant to bring the price of Bitcoin up. it's to prevent its value from going down. If there's not a gradual inflationary decrease, then Bitcoin would very soon come to be worth less. And people who have Bitcoin would not have the same sound money that they can enjoy now. What the halving event does, it actually makes Bitcoin a better currency, if you will. That is the intention behind Nakamoto's implementation of the halving. Now, there's no date, okay? There's no date to the halving. Don't ever let anybody tell you that there's a specific date that Bitcoin is gonna have. Let's use an analogy and we'll say that Bitcoin is a heartbeat, right? Every 10 minutes, boom, boom, boom. But of course, sometimes Bitcoin can run and it's just like boom, 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 boom. And other times is
Shoot, man, go! Hey, yeah.
on average, a block takes 10 minutes to be validated. But notice I say average. It doesn't mean that it takes 10 minutes. It means that it takes an average of 10 minutes. So it could take an hour, and it could take 2 minutes. If you calculate 210,000 blocks every 10 minutes, you get that 4-year number. So the reason why it's every 4 years is not that it's a 4-year thing and that's how, 4 years is an important date and you got November. No, it's every 210,000 blocks. Okay? Now, what do I think of the halving? Well, it's interesting, definitely. I think it does bring the price up. It has to, right? I mean, because the miners are expecting it. Everybody is expecting it. What happens, I think, is that when it goes up, miners get rid of their Bitcoin. And when it goes down, they tend to hold it longer. But there's still, the machinery is still going around. There's still people making transactions. So eventually, either one of two things happen.